Now let's discuss the importance of preserving plurality and diversity. I quote from Ecology of Wisdom, "Plurality requires moderation of the contemporary rapid cultural invasion of the cultures, a process we have seen accelerating since the 20th century. I look upon moderation efforts as a smart way and a general effort to maintain the richness and diversity of life on earth." So he connects cultural diversity of humans with the cultural and the natural diversity within nature, and he says that both of them are connected, and if we moderate this invasion of cultures which we see all around us, which is not a hard thing to see, and deep ecology affords us a vision of this. So what is exactly culture? Culture is our beliefs, our way of dressing, our lifestyles, the food we eat, the religions we speak, the religions we believe in. But the thing is that everything is being invaded by the American culture, in India especially, the foreign culture. So what happens when one loses touch with one's land and one's own culture? Then one finds that one is nowhere. So just let me give you the example of food. How healthy and how nutritious was the traditional Indian food of that roti, dal, rice, vegetables. What have we today? We have an invasion from globalization, from eateries that are giants, companies, KFCs, McDonald's. What are they doing to us? They are destroying the cultural framework in which we supported our lives and our bodies. What is there in those foods that you eat in these fast food joints? There is nothing but the aim for accumulation of wealth, and we become the guinea pigs in this. The trial is on us. We in India, we in Asia, when we are thinking of the American dream and we think it is extremely smart and classy to go and order a burger with cheese and have that, or have fries, but it does not go well with our bodies and with our environment. Our environment, our system of family in which people ate together, people shared common weal and woe, and the regularity of the way the meals were eaten with family, the way they were arranged on the before the people on tables or chowkis, the warmth of them being cooked at home, the warmth of this food that came from the kitchens, that is lost. That is a lost culture. So food is just one example of these lost cultures, this invasion of cultures. And he says that if we can moderate this invasion, if we can stop, then only we can save the diversity that is there in the environment. And all these foods that are there in these fast foods promoted by them, the oil or the vegetables, there is a very small variety which keeps, or maybe the chickens are there, the chicken meat is there, or some other meat, and that is recycled, and again that thing is given. So where is the freshness? Where is the beauty? Where is the warmth? Where is the nutrition? Where is the love that came of eating together, of eating at home, the bonding between parents, the bonding between siblings? So this is all how I apply this idea of the invasion of culture to India, as Næss tells us that in pluralism, this coexistence, harmony between cultures, and preservation of one's culture, they are important to maintain the diversity in the environment. If that is lost, and if we let capitalism take over our cultures, then we can never save the environment. And he is very right about that. I am sure you agree with me. Joy and happiness, which I spoke about earlier, that has a very special place in deep ecology. As I said, admiring the beauty of nature, appreciating it, and not linking it to our needs or the use. And this is the way he mentions Twergestein and the beauty of the place, the flora and the fauna, and he describes the mice that are there, and they have a life of their own. He lives in that hut and he observes everything very closely. He has a feeling of joy because he knows that there is an inherent value in the non-human life. He is not attaching a value because according to their use. So, joy means taking care, nourishing and admiring nature. This brings joy and happiness, and this brings a kind of completeness and a kind of satisfaction in one's mind and one's mental makeup. And as I said, this idea of joy, he has been influenced by the philosopher Spinoza, 17th century philosopher, and he is very famous as a European philosopher who talks a lot about the idea of happiness. So, to quote, the main point which is built into the basic conceptual framework of Spinoza's philosophy is that of activeness. By interacting with extreme misery, one gains cheerfulness. This interaction need not be direct. Most of us can do more in indirect ways by using our privileged positions in rich societies. So, he says there is something called activeness, allowing the self to expand, allowing the consciousness to expand and embrace the entire universe. And when one sees sorrow, one wants to sympathize. That gives a person comfort and happiness to sympathize with somebody who is in sorrow. And many times this interaction, this activeness is not direct. And he says that this idea is there inbuilt in Asian cultures. But as we are moving more and more towards Western cultures, towards American influences in the way we live, we are leaving this wonderful custom behind us. So, he says in these Western societies, a lot can be done indirectly in sort of feeling others' miseries, in developing that state of activeness, gaining happiness by sharing somebody's misery. So, what is the beautiful act according to him? This sharing of misery, this sharing of happiness with someone, this admiration of nature without being judgmental about, that the cactus can easily sting me or the bee can sting me, so how can I find beauty in it? Not thinking of it in that way, admiring the beauty, the society of bees, the way they interact, the way they resemble humans. That is the beautiful act. And this idea he derives from the German philosopher Kant. So, the beautiful act is, in Kant's view, a morally complete act because it's benevolent. Benevolent action expands our love to embrace the whole of life. It completes us and perfects us. So, the idea of self-realization, the idea of perfection, that Gandhiji spoke about, that I have always been seeking this moksha. So what is this Indian idea of moksha? This is liberation from bondage towards one's ego, and the ego is satisfied by artificial things, by material comforts, but when one goes beyond it, when one can perform these acts of beauty, then one becomes morally complete. When one can have enough love in one's heart to embrace entire the universe, then there is self-completion, there is perfection, and there is, according to Indian philosophy, moksha. Moksha is liberation from the narrow bonds of the ego. It is the ego that wants to only confine oneself to one's interest, to see everything according to a certain lopsided, short-sighted view. So moksha is liberation from all that. It is equal to self-realization. This is just what Mahatma Gandhi said. And what is the way to promote beautiful actions? So what is the way? Of course, we understand that this begins from childhood. The way children are nurtured, the ideas that are put into their head from very early on, these are the things that influence children and go with them when they become adults. So the moment there is a puppy walking on the road, a child somebody says, hit it, throw a stone at it. Somebody sees a beetle crossing the road or some place where it is not disturbing you, somebody says, stamp it, kill it out. So these are not beautiful actions. On the contrary, beautiful actions are giving that living being its own space and noticing how beautiful it is among the diversity of the earth, how unique it is, whether it is a beetle or it is a ladybird or even a cockroach. If you pay attention to the beauty of these creatures, the colors that nature puts on them, and not to think of in the narrow way of saying just kill it, even when it is not harming us. So he says this education has to start very early. He finds that education in especially the rich countries is falling below his expectations. Recently in Delhi, there were the new system that was started in Delhi, the public schools, where students were given time to focus and meditate and to have peace for some moments every day. And the outcomes of that exercise, that meditation, those peace classes, was that the number of children who were dropping out, that decreased, their standard of performance improved, the ideas of violence also in the fighting and the clashes, that also decreased in the schools. So the schools became more peaceful places. So he says that, so this was a very wonderful experiment in India taken by the Aam Aadmi Party. So he says in Western countries where there is a total focus on preparing somebody for a very rich career, very materialistic and progressive career, so the standards are very different. So he says that from kindergarten to postgraduate school, neither teachers nor students have inner appreciation for beauty, which is the sine qua non for embracing all of life. So he says that the orientation of students and teachers is not towards appreciating nature at all. And that is important to embrace all of nature, that is important to understand the interconnectivity of nature, interconnections, but there is this kind of thing is not there. So in old forms of schooling in India, where children went to ashrams or children went to madrasas, uh, the schooling system was different. They interacted with life in a positive and earthly manner. They learned to live life. They learned to live with the environment, as different with the sophisticated and westernized schools of today, where the ACs are more important, where expensive equipment is more important, and all the paraphernalia that cost huge amounts for education is important, but it really does nothing to enhance the personalities of the learners beyond the immediate need of creating individuals in a market for professionals who will promote that market. He distinguishes between love and respect for life and or being occupied with high standards of living. As I said earlier, we discussed this, that he is interested in the quality of life and not interested in the high standard of living. Children in these countries are enclosed in artificial worlds, and even their teachers are not taught to manifest love and respect for life. That is something that is missing in their highly technical and streamlined syllabi. They do not learn to manifest love and respect for life. So we'll stop here in this lesson. I hope you got some idea about the basic tenets of deep ecology as espoused by Arne. We'll meet in the next lesson.